Hey, how you doing out there? This is Rom Vacio with another video. Today we're going to discuss something that's hitting a lot of artists really hard right now. Money. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell to make sure that you get notified when I upload a new video. Alright, let's get to it. Money. Ooh, man, it is one of those things that is super tough for any musician at any point in their career, but especially when you're beginning, and especially now with COVID-19, it makes it super hard to make any income because you can't get gigs. There's no shows going on, not any concerts, no tours, nothing, right? And we know that you really don't make money from selling your music online. It's just the royalties are just so small that unless you're selling, or you're getting millions and millions of streams a month, you're just not really going to make any kind of reasonable income. So, what do? Pretty tough. Is it a good time to get started in the career? Well, the fact is that in this career you're going to struggle all the time, no matter where you are in your career. You have to fight, and you have to fight harder than everybody else, and you have to work harder than everybody else, and that means also understanding your money better than anybody else. Now, I'm sure we can all think of some artists that made it big, were huge one minute and then disappeared the next, and then we read about them or watch them on TV or some new Netflix documentary about how they blew all their money because they didn't know how to manage it. Well, management of money for a musician, and really anywhere, but specifically for a musician, does not start with just knowing where to spend your money. It starts way before that in knowing how to bring in the money in the first place and creating a foundation that is going to support your career for the rest of your life, regardless of whether you continue to be huge, whether you make it big or not. The fact is that most of us are just not going to make it. If you've watched my introduction video, then you know that I started and I had a pretty good project. I've been doing this for about 20 years, and now I'm starting all over again. This can happen to anybody. Regardless of where you are in your career, you can fall, you can make a mistake, and you can have to start all over again. So if you don't have a financial foundation that can support that, you're going to be seriously screwed. And, well, you're going to have a situation like we have right now where you just don't have any income. So what do? For me, I thought of this backwards. I said, okay, what are all these big musicians who are super successful, who are doing everything and have a good financial income that is well-rounded? What are they doing in order to make sure that they have a good foundation? So then I did a lot of research. And what it told me was all of these artists have other things that they are doing outside of just performing and just creating music. Now I know, blasphemy. Oh my God, you're working in something other than music. That makes you not a full-time or professional musician. Well, I make money off music as well. So yes, I am a professional musician. I also spend more than 40 hours a week working on my music career. The difference is that I also work 40 plus hours a week on other stuff. Why? Because I don't like being a broke musician. Now I know that for some people, that's okay. They don't mind being broke, but that's just not me. So what did I do? I diversified. I said, okay, I see all these big artists. They have all these different things going on. They're incredibly busy. Shouldn't I be just as busy, if not more busy, trying to get to where they are? So I said, okay, what do I do? What are my skills? Well, I am a software engineer by trade. So I said, I'm going to start a business. Why am I going to start a business? Because it allows me to do what I want, which is music, while still providing an income and allowing me to work for clients anywhere in the world, manage my employees anywhere in the world, and also it gives me the ability to give my employees the ability to work anywhere they want as well. So it's really win-win for everybody. So in my case, I decided, okay, I'm going to diversify by starting a business. I'm going to take care of the foundational aspects of my income first. So my business has clients, and those clients are what is maintaining me even now as we go through COVID-19. Because I've had so many ups and downs in my career, and because I've made so many mistakes and I've failed spectacularly, and have killed multiple contracts, or near contracts anyway, I've really had to rely on that foundation. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't working continuously, and that doesn't mean that you cannot make progress and not be a professional musician if you also have other things going. For the last 20 years, a large part of my income, in fact, in many cases, all of my income, has come from studio work, from being a hired gun, and even my own projects. So it is important that we lose that pride of thinking, oh my God, if I do other things, I am no longer a professional musician. The fact is, in today's world, everybody should diversify. Everybody should have as many things as they possibly can going. You need to work longer. You need to work harder. You need to work faster. That means that you need to be, getting up earlier, staying up later, managing your hours, managing your time, and really thinking about how can I manage every cent that comes in, and how can I increase that money? How can I save on taxes? How can I make sure that everything that I do is efficient to such a degree that I am not wasting any money? It comes down to thinking like a business, and a business doesn't just stay in one thing, even if they produce primarily a single product. They try to diversify as much as they possibly can within their industry. Right? A business needs to make sure that they have as many sources of revenue as they possibly can get. So whether it's direct sales, whether it's having subscriptions, whether it's having people going and selling a very specific product, and some people a more general product, regardless of what it is, they try to have as many sources of income as they possibly can. You, as a musician, are a business as well, which means that you need to be diversifying and having as many sources of income as you possibly can. That means swallow your pride. That means move along from all the BS that tells you that if you have other things that you're doing to bring in an income, you are not a professional musician. It's garbage. And if you deal like that, and if that's the way your mentality is, you're going to find that you're going to have a very hard time being able to fund your career. Especially today, if you don't have any kind of income, you cannot fund your career. Yes, there are a lot of free options out there, but the fact is eventually you're going to need to market. Eventually you're going to need to pay for equipment. You're going to need to pay for stuff to get on tour. You need to, I remember, a while back, I was fortunate to get to play some big shows in China. Just to get my equipment on just one flight, one way, just my equipment cost me $4,000. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but if you think about that over the course of a tour, over the course of a bunch of different events, and then you think about how much you're making and how much you're getting paid for each venue, from each venue, well, chances are you're not going to make that much if you're, or you're not going to make any at all. In fact, you may be in debt by the end of that tour, or by the end of the, whatever series of shows you may have. And so, but you may have to do those shows anyway because they're the next leg up to your career. If you think about all these big artists, let's think about Armin van Buuren, for example. If you watch some of the videos of what brought about his career, you can see him talk about how at first he had to pay for his own flights to get to venues, and he had to pay for everything on his own just to get to perform, and then he'd get paid a measly amount that wasn't going to cover anything. If you don't have that money to begin with, well, you're not going to get anywhere. If you don't have the money to advertise, if you don't have the money to pay for new equipment, if you don't have the money to pay for marketing collateral, if you don't have the money to hire musicians that you need, or hire designers, or make sure that you have the best possible brand that you have and that you can have, you're going to have a very hard time. I'm not saying you can't make it, but it will be extremely hard. So it's simple. Think about what your skills are. Think about how you can make money from music, who you can talk to, what are all the different revenue sources. For me, I made sure to make friends with business attorneys and with music attorneys because they have lots of connections. I made sure to make friends with studio owners and engineers because I knew that they were people who were extremely well connected. They would have lots of different connections, and they would need musicians that would come into the studio. They would need people who would be there when a musician decided not to show up properly, or was too drunk, or whatever the case might be. Attorneys who would hook me up with people who were looking to write a piece of music and needed somebody to ghost produce, or who needed somebody to work on the production with them. There's all sorts of different things that these two small groups of people can get you connected and hooked into. And if you think about it, if you start getting creative, you'll find that there are so many different parts of this industry and so many different people that you can connect with and make genuine connections with and get a lot of work from those things. Even if each one of those things doesn't pay a lot in and of itself, when you put it all together, it brings in a pretty good income. And then once you're done thinking of those things, it's important that you think about the other side of things. What can you do outside of just the music industry to make sure that you have a balanced income? Regardless of what your skill is. You may be a programmer like me. You may be an artist in another form that you can sell as, say, digital art, or you can do digital artwork for different companies, or you have a skill as a carpenter. You can make all sorts of things. You can make custom furniture. There's all sorts of things that you can do if you divide your time properly. That doesn't mean that you're going to need to take away time from being a musician. But what it does mean is that in order to make it as a musician, in order to be able to fund your career, because more than likely, if you're watching this, you're not signed to a huge record label. And even if you are signed to a huge record label, the money that they give you is more than likely just an advance, which you're going to have to pay back with interest. So you need to have as many different things that you can do. So having a different business outside of this and expanding your particular business hours so that you can fit both that other career and the career that you really want to be in, your music career, is going to make the difference for you. All right, well, I hope that this has given you some food for thought, and that you're going to think of different ways that you can balance out your finances and create a foundation for growth that doesn't just include your music, but that is diversified enough to ensure that you're going to be able to weather any storm that comes up in your career. Again, my name is Rom Vacio. I really appreciate you watching this. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video.